Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. How are you guys? And tell you what, is this the toughest year of SuperCoach we've ever had? I mean, this is brutal. It was pretty tough throughout. I feel like 3/4 of the way through, we're like, geez, it's been tough. How about a reprieve? It was okay for a bit, and then it's got worse. And just as we're like, okay, we've all got 1, 2, maybe 0 trades left. Let's just hold on for dear life, get a bit of luck. It's been carnage. So it's certainly going to test out the sides that have traded well, have been disciplined with their trades. Maybe you've got a 23rd or a 24th premium. Maybe you've got 1 or 2 trades left. But if you're sitting there with 0 trades, not much coverage, you're in strife. But it's a tough one. I'll go through the teams in a sec. And let me know in the comments, how many premiums have you got? So if you've got 22 premiums, you'll be flying. But have you got some zeros? Let me know if people out there have some zeros, because there'll be some who have like 20 premiums and 2 rookies. There'll be some who have the 22 premiums. Then there'll be some who have 20 premiums but 2 zeros or something like that. So it's going to be very interesting. In a weird way, like Sheezel was frustrating. I didn't know that he was going to miss that amount of time. And we'll deep dive into some of those replacements for him in a moment. We'll do a bit of research into that. And I'll rank probably the top 4 or 5 options. But yeah, funny. I went to the dentist throughout the week. I didn't have to get anything done. I just had to get like a bit of a scan of my jaw and stuff like that. Because on this side I've got a 2-tooth gap. So I had one of my teeth pulled out because it was a cheaper option when I was younger. Then I had this other tooth right next to it that had a crack. And I do look after my teeth pretty well, but I'm blaming genetics. I don't know. But went to get that one fixed root canal style so you could keep it. But they got in there like, mate, this is it's cracked too much. We're going to have to take it out. And I was like, fuck. And then they're like, bro, you don't want a 2-tooth gap for too long, mate, or your jaw will start bloody going all sorts of crazy. So I was like, okay. So moral of the story is Shorty's going to be set back about $6,000. Some of that will help out with private health insurance, but Jesus, expensive business. But the main point of my story, Wednesday I roll in, and I've got to know my dentist relatively well. He's a nice bloke, plays golf, we sort of have a bit of a chat. It seems like a decent fella. So, you sort of roll in, you're like, hey, mate, what's going on? You sort of think, you go to those places where it's the post office or the butcher. It's like, they know me a bit. And I roll in, he's like, oh, hey, Darcy, what's going on? Darcy? Who the fuck is that? Real humbling moment. I mean, for those who don't know, my name's actually Daniel, even though I go by Shorty on here. But I was like, bro, if you weren't bloody doing work on my teeth, I'd tell you what, I'd be filthy. But I want to keep it cool with you because you're the one throwing the tools around inside my mouth, so to speak. But let's have a look at the teams. Yeah, Tim English, he's out. Harry Sheezel, out. Even Chad Warner is out. Even someone like Nick Caulfield, if you're hoping for a bit of coverage. But yeah, Chad Warner gone. Again, where is the... I want to know why they're out for. On the app, it says what they're out for. I don't like this. And even there might be some out there just holding on to Oliver, and just hoping that he came good, and certainly hasn't. Canelio comes back in, so it'll be interesting to see how that affects someone like Peatling. Hopefully not too much for those who own him. And yeah, of course, Curnow we knew. Gee, look at that. Binns, Wilson, Lemmy, Lord, Dominic Acui. Who are these guys? Ashton Muir. Who are these blokes? I'm telling you, I'm picking West Coast, mate. I'm picking the Eagles, and there's, of course, English and Caulfield and Sheezel all in the same game. Maybe Zach Fisher coming back will help. He's still got to get through. Oh, no, he doesn't. He's been named on the field, has he? Am I going blind? Yeah, half forward, right. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Be interesting to see how that one pans out, because I know a few people still had Fisher. So, yeah, some of the talking points, and it was... That's just all sorts of confusing, isn't it? I'll go. There weren't too many talking points, but the ones that were, yeah, Sheezel replacement. Obviously Fisher, yeah, Curnow, English. Look, I think let's focus in on Fisher. I'll have a look at my VC and see. I'll show you what I'm sort of weighing up doing. Is Sheezel any chance to come back in the last round? I feel like it's too risky. I mean, I feel like, why would he come back? I mean, season's over. There's no point rushing back. Yeah, so it doesn't sound major, but I mean, the way I'm looking at it, right, is if I potentially, so in theory, I could just trade Sheezel to whoever with my last trade, which makes the most sense. Or I could trade Shonmaker to Dan Curtin, just a defensive mid, and then put McKercher, dual position style, put Rowell onto the field. McKercher covers Sheezel, then Sheezel comes back, round 24, he's a point of difference, but then you've got serious egg on your face if he doesn't come back, and North aren't competing, so it makes you wonder why would he. And then it's also like Rowell is going well, but can you fully trust him? I still don't know if I can trust him, so I think I'm just going to keep it simple and trade Sheezel to a couple of options. Also, quick question, how did Sheezel not get dual position? Now, how is he not a mid option? I was really surprised by that, to be honest. Does it go across the whole year? I'm not totally across how these things get checked off, but centre bounce wise, his centre bounce percentages are pretty high. Pretty much from round 8, and we had a change in round 12 in dual positions, and dual positions could be added in round 18. Now, his lowest centre bounce attendance is 24%. And there's a few that are 40 plus. There's a few that are 50 plus. I guess they came after the round 18. Maybe that's what's hurt him. Maybe if he had these higher ones from round 13 to 16, maybe he would have got it. I know the magic number is about 33% in that position, starting position to gain your dual position. But even those numbers, it makes you think if he can get even more midfield time, this bloke's got a serious ceiling. But look, if you got Timmy English, I mean, if you can get Tristan Cherry, and I'm not really sure what it's all looking like. Obviously, Cherry is super expensive, and you're not going to be able to afford him because English is, whoa, yeah, okay, that was optimistic. 530, so who can you get around there? Gee, you can't really reach much. Yep, if Sean Darcy comes back in, maybe. But yeah, it is pretty slim pickings. It is slim pickings. If you've got cash, then if Briggs comes in, he's far from the worst. But yeah, they're probably ones that have a look at the actual matchups. With 2 rounds left, have a look at some of these guys' matchups because they might have slightly easier ruck runs than some others. You might not necessarily go the best player or the best average. You might just go the one who comes up against a couple of lower ranked ruckmen. But certainly, if you've got Cherry, he's the guy you're putting the captaincy on. That is for sure. I'll take a look at my VC and C now, actually. Again, I feel like Goulden could go bang at any moment, so he could be one that you look at. But I think for me, it's hard to go past Bontempelli being involved in the captaincy. Someone like Butters is always in the mix. Dacos is in the mix. Where does Butters play? It's a showdown. So, yeah, I'd probably be looking at maybe Butters, Dacos, and then it'll definitely be into Bontempelli. So, yeah, still got to probably figure out exactly what. But let's take a look at the main topic of discussion. And if you're trading out Harry Sheezel, which most of us are, what are you going to do? So, let's get a bit of a list here going. Let's shortlist it. Obviously, Whitfield's in the running to be the replacement. Certainly Sinclair is. McGovern has to be, particularly, against a pretty weak Carlton lineup this week. Stewart has to be considered. Clark has to be considered. Young, although most will have him, has to be considered. We'll leave Dacos and Ryan out because many have him. Sicily is almost in that discussion, but I'm going to leave him out. Look, you could even go, if you've got a couple of trades and you've got Sheezel and English, you might go Sheezel all the way down to someone like a Sicily or a McKercher and then make your way up to English and Cherry. I'm not sure if that checks out, depending on your bank, but, that's the type of thing you could do. I'm going to leave Sicily out. He's hit some good form, but I think these are your six. These are your six guys that clearly we'll choose from. And gut feel, I like Sinclair, but then you've got to look at these lineups and the matchups. And look, McGovern's got Carlton this week, then Geelong in Geelong. Don't know if I love that matchup because he'll have his hands full potentially with Tom Hawkins that they'll just be feeding the ball to. Always hard to score points down in Geelong as an opposition player in general. That's a slight nudge against him, but he's in good form. I think Tom Stewart's got St Kilda and West Coast, good options, but he's probably been a little bit of probably the flimsiest out of all these guys. Lockie Whitfield has really come good, hasn't he? But there's just something about him that I just can't bring myself to trust sometimes, but he's really come good. He's had a huge run there, but let's take a look at his run, because he is one that if they do cop attention, he most certainly can be shut down. So we're looking at those defensive half-forward types. Giants have the Dockers. No one springs to mind that really goes defensive on a half-forward flank. And then they've got the Dogs. You just never know with Beveridge. I mean, it's hard. At least he doesn't have a James Jordan or a Jed McEntee or, something like that. And there's others that, even Neil Bullen sort of does that sometimes. But so I think reasonable run. We'll have to consider him strongly. Jordan Clark. And again, I sometimes feel like it's helpful for the team to be alive and still contending. I think Clark ain't going to let you down. I mean, he has turned up, so many times since round 10. He's only gone under once. His teammate Hayden Young is starting to cop a little bit of attention and is in that category of could cop some tags now that he's really shown what he's worth. But who have the Dockers got? Last round, they've got Port Adelaide, who Willem Drew could be someone that goes to him. And then they also have, is Bedford playing? I don't know if I've made it up that he's injured or not. I don't know if I've just made that up, but might have just made that up. So I guess he could potentially go to him as well. So we're going to take Young out. And I honestly really like Sinclair. He's a favourite of mine. He's tried and true. They've got Geelong this week, and I think it's a different question. He's really got these big high ceilings that he can do. They've got the Cats, and I think it's a different story when you come down to Geelong as opposed to playing St Kilda under the roof. And then the Saints have Carlton. Now, I guess the only knock on that is St Kilda aren't contending. It's much of a muchness, but you feel like there's lots of points to be had against that Carlton forward line at the moment. Whether that's with poor entry, poor targets, poor kicking, there's kick-ins to be had. You just feel like they're vulnerable to have points scored against them. So I am going to put Sinclair on top there, and he's my main guy, and he'll be who I trade in. What has McGovern been doing? I know he can go big, but he's been bloody consistent, hasn't he? Yeah, he's got that high ceiling as well, and intercepting king. Look at your matchups too. If you feel like you need a guy who can score 150 because you need to make some points, then McGovern or Sinclair is your guy. If you just need a solid, reliable one, you'd go Clark. Look, I'm going to put Tommy Stewart, unfortunately, at the bottom of that pack, just because he has had more inconsistency within his year compared to the other guys. And it might be harsh, but who are the Dockers got? I know we went over that before, but Port Adelaide, so I don't know whether they'll go defensive on the half forward. Giants. Something just says... Yeah, something says Clark over Whitfield, and I don't really know why. Look, I'm going to go with my gut. This is how I'd shape it. I'd go Sinclair on top, McGovern next best bet. I'd go Clark, just uber consistent. Whitfield, great option as well, but can have those games where he gets shut down. And Stewart, love him, great option as well. The last 6 or so weeks have been fantastic. But you just got to look at the season as a whole, and he has been less consistent compared to these guys, and probably really hasn't had the ceiling that some of these guys have had either. So that's the way we're going to sort of shape up. So I will go Sinclair this week. We've had some quiet weeks on the trade table recently, but we've got some decisions to be made. So fortunately, I will have a full complement of players to choose from, and we might be able to do some dual position action as well. Will we? Crows play Saturday night. So yeah, we'll be able to have a look at Matty Rowell on Saturday, see how he goes, sub in Clark if he does fire, and honestly anything over 100 I'll probably take. 110 I'll certainly take, but yeah, good luck this week. If you're in some prelims, all the best to you. I hope you've suffered less carnage than your mate. I'm going to have a look at my leagues in a sec too to see who I'm shaping up against, but yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. Have a good one. Catch you later. Cheers.